Moving on to the next topic.
Moving on to the next topic, which is me. Do we have any B-roll that we can pull out of that? I don't know if we can.
Oh, man.
No, we didn't plan
Adam's not
You know what? Let
prepared
me load it up. Give me a second.
Yeah, he's going to load it up. But I'm going to tell you what it is. Basically, we saw this at the Skylake X launch, and then it was so cool, I want to take a look at it on video. If you go to PCWorld.com, you can see it. Intel basically set out to do a proof of concept. Now, it's not something that everyone would want to do, but you can do, which is pretty neat, is they took a single PC and they got it to run 4 Vive headsets. So you could, and we did this. We actually had it in our office, in our conference room, and we were able to play. 4 people were able to play Bridge Crew, Star Trek Bridge Crew with 1 PC.
Man, that must have been so badass.
I mean, it's cool. I mean, a lot of people are saying, why would you ever want to do this? But then you got to think like, God, with VR, it's something, and I realized this afterwards, because, you know, I came by with my kids, we were playing VR, and you're sitting there looking at your phone the whole time, right? While they're taking turns. Like, if you actually could have multiplayer, you know, VR without the cost of then also having another gaming PC, it's cool. Then you might have, you know, Vive headsets are going to get cheaper. If you could play 2 people with VR, then you're basically like, hey, you're instead of you sitting there watching the other person, you know, gape their mouth open, you actually get to be in that experience. It's actually,
So you're both half sitting there.
so
with
you're
your
both,
mask
because you know every time, if anybody who has a Vive headset and you show it to somebody, you're like, okay, yeah, it's cool, and then they're just kind of like, wow, and you're like, okay, and you're like, you just want to make sure they don't, you know, trip and fall through a glass table. That's it. But you're bored out of your mind. So I think the ability to play 2-player and then 4-player with a single PC is something that's pretty cool. And the way Intel did this, of course, is a little bit of a hack. I don't know if Adam can do we
almost. It's getting there.
It's getting there.
It's transcoding.
Transcoding, but it's fine. What they did was, so they took a, you know, standard tower PC. They put 4 GPUs in it. They used a 1080 plus 3 NVIDIA Quadro P4000s, and those are single slot GPUs. Oh wait, you want to run?
No. Yeah, 4,000s.
So P4000s. Those cards are basically, you know, they're not cheap, but in performance they fall kind of in between a 1070 and a 1080. It looks like probably closer to a lower than a 1070. In fact, actually, I got that wrong. Between a 1060 and a 1070 in performance, probably.
And why did they pick those?
And they picked those mostly because, you know, it was a standard X299 motherboard, so they needed single slot GPUs, and nobody really makes single slot GPUs of any performance. So the only way they could do that was using through Quadros. Now, of course, somebody made a single slot 1070 or 1060 card. I think they could have done that, but there aren't any cards. And they booted the machine into a virtual machine. It was Unraid Server Pro, I believe. Pretty neat. So it runs as a hypervisor. They boot into the VM. And then from that, they booted 4 Windows 10 sessions. And each of the video cards was its own PC, basically. And then they took the 10-core i9 7900X, and they gave each of those machines, you know, 2 cores and 2 hyper-threading threads, right? So sort of 4 cores each. And each of them had their own SATA SSDs. And the last thing they did to sort of make this entire thing work was to use an Allegra Pro USB card, which it's a USB card that is made for people who really need high performance USB 3. It's got 4 USB controllers on it. So because they did that, and Vive does need USB 3, each of the machines got its own USB 3 controller. So by doing that, they were able to get this entire thing to run 4 Vive headsets on one PC. Now we're showing it.
Oh,
now we're showing it. There we go.
This is the box.
That's the box right there. That's Unraid. I'm looking at the little tiny screen. So he's setting it up to boot into Windows. This is Intel actually came by with his demo. And that's
I'm going to pause right here on that. Oh, what is it?
Right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, of course, there's your 7900X, and there's your 3 P4000 cards. There's your 1080 card. I think it was a Fantex case, and, of course, it had a Star Trek sticker on it.
That's the same case I bought for my PC upgrade later this year.
Yeah, it's a nice case. I like Fantex.
And there's the USB 3.
Yeah, there's your USB 3 card, and then you can see all of the GPUs there. And I think they put in 64 gigs of RAM, so they just split that among all the different virtual machines.
I like the Enterprise sticker at the bottom of the case.
Yeah.
Classy.
And what I like, of course, is we all wore our Star Trek costumes.
Well, you forced them to wear the Star Trek costume.
Well, you have to if you're going to have a Star Trek party. But it was,
highly encouraged.
It was pretty neat. I mean, I got to say, yeah, I don't think anybody's going to really do this. I mean, you can though, which is kind of neat in that if you wanted to, that's your recipe right there. You can do it. Intel did it. You can do it yourself if you wanted to today. But, clearly, I think there is a need for multiplayer VR with a single gaming PC. Do you guys think I'm crazy or crazy?
I actually have I had a bar in my downstairs living room and I tore it out and I made it into a Vive virtual reality nook so we can all play VR. And I would love if I could just buy another Vive headset and hook it up so I could play with my kids rather than, watching my kids, watching my friends, playing Space Pirate Trainer or whatever side by side would be freaking awesome.
Yeah, and it definitely would be better to do it with one PC because then it's just the cost of the headset, right? I mean, I don't know if it's possible within DirectX to have it. I mean, probably not. But if you could have one video card run it, but I probably not. Maybe, hey, NVIDIA, AMD, that's a great use for multi GPU support, right? So. I don't know who really needs to enable this in the ecosystem, but I think it's pretty cool. What do you guys, would you do it?
So my question is, like, from a pragmatic standpoint, like, cost-wise, is it really that much more efficient to go with that single PC as opposed to actually building out separate PCs? Like, I'm trying to figure that angle out here.
I don't think it would be with the Intel configuration with all those Quadro cards.
Yeah.
But for maybe a 2-player setup, I think it would. Like if you could just take 2 graphics cards and have a 8 or 10 core chip and devote half of that to one setup, half of that to the other, similarly to this. I think that I would love to do that. I would not buy another full PC for another VR setup, but I'd buy another graphics card and another headset. Not in a minute because it's expensive, but as soon as I could.
Yeah.
Prices dropped.
And I got to say the other thing too is like, because I mean, people say, well, gosh, of course, when you're talking, i9 prices, that's kind of a different world. But you say I could build another, 2 KB Lake boxes instead of having one single, Skylake Xbox, right? So we were talking purely on the Intel side. Yes, we know AMD Ryzen Threadripper stuff. That's different. Even there, it's cheaper to build, Ryzen 5 boxes than a Threadripper box, sort of, right? So,
right.
But the way I sort of see it is like this machine, when you're not running multiple VR Vive settings, you have your 12 or 16 or 10 core machine that you can then throw at your other workloads. If you have 2 separate gaming boxes, you have 2 separate gaming boxes. You're not going to be using both CPUs at the same time. It is more efficient to have one single 12 core, 10 core,
okay, I see what you're
16
saying.
core.
So it sounds to me like, so my personal opinion on it would be that depending on the use case, then I could definitely see the single PC being a much better choice. So like say if like you're the main person who's going to be using that machine and you need it really powerful to do work like say what Adam's doing with video, then absolutely. Then like, say like your friends or kids are over doing something and you want to hook up extra Vives, then great.
Right.
But I also can see a different use case where say that everyone in the household actually needs their own PC and nobody's really doing a lot of high performance work, then it could actually be more pragmatic to actually still have the separate machines.
Yeah. I mean, that works too. I mean, everybody should just have Vive backpack kind of gaming PCs and just walk around the house with it. So that would be, and you just have emitters everywhere in your house. That was my joke. I think with a long time ago, you would take a picture of your house when it's really clean. You would wear your Vive headset. It's like, ooh, it's so clean in here.
Or your desk at work.
At your desk at work. And then you say like, it's great. But it's actually, you're living in a VR world. So I think it's pretty cool. Is it something clearly not going to happen today? Maybe 3 years from now. I think it would be neat if Valve and Oculus, if this is something they thought about though, right? Multiplayer. Why not? We're all going to have 8, 10, 12 cores 4 years from now. They're going to be cheaper than dirt. So why not do it? So
just have one big
sweet
family bundle deal.
Yes,
it'd be a great use for all these new multi-core processors coming out. It could reinvigorate SLI or Crossfire.
Yeah.
Even if you just optimize for 2-player setups, I think that's all you would need to make it still very niche, but a niche that a lot of people would be attracted to. I'd be attracted to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And arguably VR is already like, you know, a tiny sliver of the market. You want to break that into smaller, but we're talking years from now. So years from now, I think it'll happen, hopefully. So.